Let the noise of the day dissolve, the deadlines, the thoughts, the quiet ache of time all fading now like vapor under starlight. What if everything you call now has already ended before you see it? What if your heartbeat is just the echo of something that happened light years ago? What if time doesn't move forward at all? It bends, slows, and folds itself around your awareness, changing shape as you feel. These aren't poetic guesses. They're quiet truths, written in the soft curve of space-time and in the gentle pause between your breaths. They are the paradoxes of time dilation, moments stretched and folded by emotion, gravity, and thought, showing that even stillness has a speed, and even silence travels. Where are you listening from? Beneath a dim lamp, inside the rhythm of rain, or somewhere between the tick of a clock and the heartbeat of the universe? If this stillness finds you, and you love drifting through the quiet edges of thought, stay a little longer. Maybe follow along, leave a soft like, or a quiet trace beneath the same sky we share. Now, let's begin. The sound fades, and silence unfolds like a soft horizon. You drift between one thought and the next, where the space between them begins to widen. In that stillness, the idea of time feels fragile, almost imaginary. The story you're about to hear does not happen in minutes or hours. It happens in awareness itself, the slow unfolding of perception within you. You have felt it before, how one day can feel endless, and a whole year can disappear like a dream at dawn. Time does not move with any fairness. It stretches and shrinks according to the rhythm of emotion. A second of fear can weigh like a stone pressed into memory, while a minute of peace can vanish before you can hold it. Physics tells you that every second is equal, yet the mind knows each carries a soul of its own. Time is not a machine. It is a mirror that bends with the weight of your mood. When you are restless, time thickens. It drags itself through the hours like heavy air. When you are calm, it thins into transparency light as breath. It is not the clock that slows or speeds, but the field of awareness through which everything passes. What you call a moment is not fixed in length. It is measured by the density of your presence, how awake you are within it. The more scattered you become, the longer time feels. The more centered you are, the softer it dissolves. Perhaps you have never measured time at all. Perhaps you have only measured how present you were in what was happening. Physical time flows evenly, but psychological time follows no rule. It expands with worry. It folds under peace. One who trembles in fear may live a lifetime inside a single minute, while one who is tranquil lives the whole of life inside a single breath. You have seen this, the contrast between the chaos of hurry and the silence of being. The paradox of time is that it is both external and internal. The clock measures motion, but your heart measures experience. The universe counts seconds, but you count meaning. You stand at the intersection of both the physical and the perceived, and every heartbeat bends their alignment. The mind stretches or compresses reality as it feels, not as it is. What science calls constant consciousness calls fluid. Time, then, is not uniform. It is emotional gravity, heavier in suffering, lighter in serenity. Sometimes you sense this without words. You pause and the air itself feels slower. The world around you seems to breathe in rhythm with your chest. The ticking sound of a clock fades into the background, replaced by something quieter, a hum that moves not outside but within. And for that instant, you feel the boundary between seconds blur. It is as if time has paused to listen to you breathe. You have not escaped it. You have simply seen how it listens back. If you observe closely, you might realize you're not traveling through time at all. You are standing still while time travels through you. Every moment that passes is not a step forward, but a wave that moves across awareness. You are the shore that receives it, the witness that gives it form. Time exists only because you can feel it, and yet the moment you stop to feel deeply, it disappears. This is the quiet paradox, hidden in every heartbeat. Time is created by the act of noticing it. The truth is subtle. You change, and time changes with you. You tense, and seconds harden. You soften, and they dissolve. It mirrors your every mood like a silent reflection. Perhaps you are not living inside time at all. Perhaps time is living through you, breathing through you, learning itself through your perception. The boundary between them has never been clear. It only feels so because you're used to looking outward, not inward. So pause gently. Breathe as if the universe breathes with you. Feel the quiet dilation within that soft widening of space between one thought and another. You have not left the present. You have simply entered it more deeply. Here, each second has its own life, its own small pulse of eternity. Here, time becomes transparent, flowing not around you, but through you, a silent current carrying the memory of what you feel. If you could stop counting time, what would remain? Would the seconds vanish? Or would they simply unfold into awareness itself? If you let go of measuring, would you find that you were never moving, only expanding? Perhaps time never truly passes. Perhaps it is you, breathing, growing, folding, returning within it. The thought of time passes through you like air. You have just seen how emotion bends it, how perception stretches and folds it within your awareness. Now, another kind of movement begins, not the rush of seconds, but the quiet slowing that appears when you start to breathe consciously. The physics of motion meets the psychology of stillness, and somewhere between them, time begins to lose its weight. When you inhale deeply, something subtle shifts. The world seems to move slower, as though space itself expands around your breath. The edges of thought soften. The sound outside the pulse inside. They begin to fall into the same rhythm. In that rhythm, there is no hurry, no destination, only presence. You realize that time as you normally sense it depends on how fast the mind is moving. Physics says that when motion accelerates, time slows down. Meditation says that when thought stops, time disappears. The faster the body moves, the slower the clock becomes. The quieter the mind becomes, the more transparent the moment grows. Stillness is not the absence of movement. It is a different kind of velocity, one that travels inward rather than forward. Stillness is the fastest speed consciousness can travel. When you stop thinking for even a second, something opens. The barrier between the inner and the outer world thins. What is inside begins to echo what is outside, and the two are no longer separate. Awareness becomes the bridge between them. In that bridge, time is suspended. You are not frozen. You are simply free from direction. You exist quietly in a state without edges. In the noise of daily life, you consume time without noticing. You move, speak, react, but inside, you are burning what you cannot recover. In those moments, You do not live. You translate life into motion, into habit, into repetition. But in stillness, you enter what can be called inner dilation, a field where time stops counting. There, the measure of life changes. The minute you live in awareness is larger than any hour lived unconsciously. Stillness alters the scale of experience. When the mind races, every sound is distant, every second too brief. But when the mind rests, you see the grain of light on a wall, the sound of your breath curling through the air. Time no longer runs away. It expands to meet you. It no longer carries you forward. It stays breathing with you. What you thought of as duration becomes depth. What you called seconds becomes space. The paradox is quiet, but clear movement slows time in physics. Stillness slows time in consciousness. The body travels through space, but the mind travels through awareness. One reaches the edge of galaxies. The other reaches the edge of self. Both arrive at the same horizon, the place where speed meets silence. There, time folds inward. The distance between moments shrinks to zero. You're no longer in the stream. You are the stream. If light at its fastest escapes the touch of time, then stillness, at its purest, transcends it entirely. The speed of light bends clocks. The depth of silence bends perception. The more still you become, the closer you move to eternity. Not the endless stretch of future, but the endless presence of now. Eternity is not beyond you. It hides inside the breath that you rarely notice. So breathe slowly. Let each inhale stretch the walls of your awareness. Let each exhale dissolve the illusion of movement. Notice how the mind stops chasing, how the body stops measuring. In that calm, there is no pressure to continue, no demand to arrive. The breath itself becomes time expanding, contracting, returning. Each cycle repeats, but you no longer count it. You only feel it unfold. If eternity were nothing more than a single breath, lived fully, how many times have you truly breathed? How many times have you been present enough to notice the air enter, pause, and leave? If in one still moment you no longer sense time, are you experiencing the physical world, or have you already stepped beyond it? Perhaps there is no beyond. Perhaps eternity is simply this, the breath that continues without needing to be remembered. When stillness deepens, perception begins to shift. You start to notice how fragile the idea of now truly is. What you call the present moment is not immediate. It arrives after a small delay, one too brief to feel, but vast enough to shape your life. Even in stillness, the body cannot escape the laws of perception. Time bends inside the mind before it ever touches the world outside. Your brain needs about 80 milliseconds to process what it receives. Every sound, every color, every touch passes through this small corridor of delay. By the time you hear a note or see a face, the event has already ended. You are always living one step behind reality, slower than light, slower than the world itself. The brain, gentle and exact, cannot move faster. It builds a version of the moment for you to live in, and by the time it completes that work, the real moment is gone. You do not notice this gap because consciousness smooths the edges. It stitches the past and the present into a seamless thread, giving you the illusion of continuity. But under that smooth surface lies a quiet paradox. The life you experience is already memory. What you see, what you touch, what you hear, all of it belongs to what has just passed. The mind at its time as it happens. so that you can call it now. The real now, however, is already beyond reach. When you gaze at the light of a distant star, you are seeing what no longer exists. That starlight may have traveled for centuries before touching your eyes. You look at its glow and call it present, but what you see is the past, a message delayed by distance. The same principle folds within you. When you look at your reflection, what you perceive has already been processed, already translated, already gone. You're never seeing yourself as you are, only as you were, a fraction of a second ago. The brain functions as a curved mirror that bends reality backward. It does not show you what is happening. It shows you what has already happened. This curvature creates a paradox. You are always behind life, yet you believe you are living it directly. The moment you think I am here, that thought is already a reflection. You are watching the film of reality, not the real itself. And still, the illusion feels whole, complete, convincing. If perception is always delayed, where does reality truly exist? It cannot be inside the senses, because they are late. It cannot be outside you, because you only know it after it arrives. Perhaps reality exists in the gap between event and awareness, the silent moment before the brain decides what has happened. That gap is invisible, but it might be the only place untouched by time. The present may not be something you experience, but something that experiences you. In this way, consciousness is always slightly behind, but never outside. It follows existence like a soft echo, shaping meaning from what it has just heard. You do not walk through the world, you walk through its resonance. Everything around you hums, with a faint delay, as if the universe speaks first, and you answer a moment later. Time is not a river carrying you forward. It is the reflection of waves that have already passed. Perhaps this delay is not a flaw, but a form of mercy. If the mind were truly instant, there would be no space for understanding, only raw impact, too fast to feel. The delay allows the universe to arrive gently in fragments you can hold. It creates the rhythm that lets awareness breathe. Through that rhythm, you experience the beauty of distance, not between stars, but between perception and truth. If every moment you live has already happened, then what is now? Is it the echo of an event, or the awareness of that echo? When you see a star, you see the past of the cosmos. When you see yourself, you see the past of your own mind. You live in a hall of mirrors, made of light and memory, mistaking the reflection for the source. So breathe slowly and look again. Notice how time bends, how it delays itself just enough for you to witness it. The present you think you live in may not exist, or perhaps it exists only as the space where delay and awareness meet. Maybe you have never truly lived in now. Maybe you have always been following it, one heartbeat behind, tracing the shimmer of what has already passed. You have seen how the mind lags behind reality, always a heartbeat late. But delay is not the only illusion that bends time. There is another quieter force, one that shapes your experience from within. It is called attention. Wherever it falls, time changes its texture. The seconds stretch or collapse according to how you look at them. Time is not an object. It does not move at a constant pace. It melts and reforms under the gravity of your awareness. When you stare into worry, minutes grow heavy, thick, impossible to lift. When you gaze at the open sky, time loses shape altogether. It dissolves as if it had never existed. You're not a traveler moving through time. You are the lens that warps it. Attention is the gravity of consciousness. Where you place it, time bends. When you scatter it across 100 thoughts, the day fractures into noise. When you focus it gently, everything begins to slow. The air feels thicker the moment longer. The mind, like space, curves around its own weight. You bend time daily, not with machines or speed, but with thought itself. This is the paradox. The more attention you give something, the slower time becomes. A single second, deeply seen, can open like a galaxy. But when your awareness drifts, whole hours disappear without trace. The same clock ticks, but its rhythm is different inside you. Time has no power of its own. It only follows the movement of mind. Gravity bends space-time. Attention bends experience-time. Both pull toward what is dense, what carries weight. In physics, a black hole swallows light. In consciousness, the mind swallows perception. You fall inward through layers of meaning into the depths of what you focus on. The deeper you go, the slower everything moves. Stillness once again becomes the ultimate horizon. You may have noticed this when reading a word too long or listening to a single sound until it seems endless. The object remains the same, but your focus transforms it. The world contracts to a point, and you fall through it. In that falling, thought stops measuring. Time stops dividing. The mind becomes a mirror turned toward itself, and everything else fades to silence. What you call distraction is not the loss of focus, but the loss of gravity. When the mind loses its center, time splinters into fragments. The present slips through those cracks like sand. Attention gathers it back together. With each breath, you create a small orbit of awareness, circling one experience, holding it in place. For that brief moment, time holds its breath with you. If you could sustain this focus, hold it without strain, without thought, time would collapse entirely. It would become a single point of infinite depth. That point would not be past, present, or future, but the space between them, the still center where every moment begins and ends. The heart of awareness untouched by motion. In that center, everything slows to nothing. The noise of thought disappears. The seconds lose their edges. What remains is the weightless clarity of being not stretched, not measured, only present. It is not something you achieve. It is what reveals itself when attention stops reaching outward. The black hole of consciousness does not destroy time. It absorbs it, returning it to stillness. Perhaps this is what meditation truly is: not escape but descent, a falling inward through the gravity of awareness until you reach the event horizon of perception. There, time bends back on itself, and silence becomes infinite. The deeper you look, the slower it moves, until looking itself dissolves. Only presence remains still and self-luminous. If time melts according to where you look, then attention is not just observation, it is creation. Each gaze carves a curve in the field of experience. Each thought reshapes the landscape of seconds. You are the center around which all duration revolves. When attention holds steady, time bows and becomes transparent. If you could rest your awareness on a single point, unmoving, unbroken, would you create a black hole of consciousness, a silent sphere where time stops breathing and only pure presence remains? Maybe that stillness is not the absence of time, but its truth. Maybe in the quiet gravity of your own attention, the universe is learning to rest. You have followed attention to its quiet center, where even light bends under awareness. Now, what remains is not to observe time, but to listen to it, not as an external rhythm, but as something that breathes with you. The boundary between you and the hours dissolves. What was once measured becomes shared. Time no longer flows around you, it exhales through you. Time is not outside. It has always been within your breath, within each pulse that rises and falls. When you are calm, it softens, flowing like light across still water. When you are anxious, it thickens, turning heavy, almost metallic. The same second can shine or weigh, depending on how your heart meets it. You and time are two sides of one perception, inseparable, moving in a single breath. Perhaps you never lived inside time at all. Perhaps time has always lived through you. You are its witness, but also its instrument, the shape it takes to experience itself. The seconds that pass are not departures, but transformations. They fold into awareness, and through that folding, they become memory, thought, identity. You call it living, but it is the universe learning to feel its own rhythm. When your mind stirs, the universe contracts. The stars seem closer, the space tighter, the hours shorter. When your mind becomes still, everything expands. Distances lengthen, moments open, silence deepens. You are not separate from that movement. You are the pulse that drives it. The cosmos breathes with you its vastness, shrinking or widening according to your peace. In this quiet symmetry, there is no hierarchy, only reflection. Time mirrors your state, and you mirror its flow. If you rush, the world spins faster. If you rest, it slows. The illusion of time is nothing more than the echo of motion. You measure the pace of thought, not the passage of reality. The more you still the mind, the closer you come to the timeless. There is a strange freedom in knowing that you do not measure time, you create it. Every heartbeat, every glance, each thought you let rise and fall shapes the fabric of reality. The seconds do not move without you. They are born in the space of your noticing. When awareness stops, so does their flow. Time depends on being seen to exist. Without perception, it loses form and meaning. So breathe slowly. Let this moment breathe with you. Notice how each inhale expands the invisible field of time, and each exhale folds it back into silence. You're not passing through minutes or hours. You're weaving them one breath at a time. Time is your reflection on the surface of consciousness, always changing, yet always familiar. When thought quiets completely, even the idea of change fades. Time has no beginning there, no end. What remains is pure awareness, transparent, weightless, awake. It is not the end of experience, but its source. In that stillness, you're not watching the clock. You are the pulse that moves it. The ticking becomes your own heartbeat, the measure of existence dissolving into presence. Maybe this is what eternity truly is. Not an infinite line, but an infinite depth. A single breath lived so fully that it contains every past and every future. When you stop counting, time stops demanding. What is left is not silence, but the hum of pure being, a presence beyond duration. You are not outside it, nor inside it. You are it. If you could stop counting time, what would remain? Would you lose yourself, or would you finally find what was never lost? If all your seconds dissolved into awareness, would you vanish, Or would you become the awareness itself? Perhaps the self and time have always been one mirror, reflecting endlessly until both disappear into light. So, pause here. Feel the last trace of time resting in your breath. It does not rush. It does not wait. It only listens gently. You are the contact point between eternity and existence, the meeting of motion and stillness, of form and silence. If you stop counting now, you may feel it, the soft place where time breathes through you and you through it. You have seen how time breathes within you, stretching and folding according to the rhythm of your thoughts, softening in stillness, thickening in noise. But what happens when this same breath expands beyond the mind into the vastness above you? If your awareness can bend time from within, then what of the stars, the light, the galaxies that bend it from without? The same law that slows your heartbeat in calm also slows the universe in motion. The difference is only in scale, not in truth. You have already felt time breathing through you, bending, slowing, responding to thought. But beyond the mind, the same principle unfolds in the vast fabric of space. The cosmos, like consciousness, stretches and contracts with movement. The faster something travels, the slower its time becomes. The deeper you look, the more you see that the universe and awareness are governed by the same quiet symmetry. In physics, Einstein saw it in the numbers. Time slows as velocity rises. A clock moving close to the speed of light ticks slower than one at rest. At the edge of extreme motion, time nearly stops. The faster matter moves, the more space bends, and the less time remains. The universe, it seems, rewards acceleration with stillness. Motion and silence are not opposites, they are reflections of the same truth. In life, the same pattern appears, only turned inward. When your days rush forward, time escapes you. Hours vanish into blur, and your body feels older than the clock suggests. But when you move slowly, when your awareness softens, time stretches open again. Stillness becomes its own kind of speed, not measured in distance, but in depth. The more present you are, the slower time feels, and yet the fuller it becomes. Einstein saw it in equations. The monk feels it in the breath. One observes stars, the other observes silence. But both meet at the same realization that time bends not because of what moves, but because of what perceives. The universe curves under gravity. The mind curves under awareness. The stiller you are, the closer you come to the same point where movement and quiet merge. It is the horizon where physics and meditation whisper the same secret. The paradox is simple. At the limit of speed, everything stops. A photon traveling at light speed experiences no time at all. For light, the universe happens. In a single instant, birth and end are one. Yet in the opposite direction, when the mind becomes completely still, you find the same absence. Thought halts. The flow of seconds dissolves. What is infinite motion for the body becomes infinite stillness for the soul. You may sense this even without equations. When you hurry life contracts, the world feels narrower, smaller, pressed into moments that slip away too soon. But when you slow down, everything expands. The sound of the wind grows longer. A single second becomes a vast horizon. The same minute holds more than you expect. More silence, more detail, more being. It is not that time has changed, but that your awareness has deepened enough to hold it. Extreme speed and absolute stillness are two ends of the same paradox. They both dissolve the experience of time. The faster you move, the slower time becomes. The quieter you become, the same truth unfolds. One is the outer dilation of space, the other, the inner dilation of consciousness. Both reach toward the same boundary, where time loses shape and becomes something else entirely present. If you imagine the universe as a vast fabric, then every motion you make ripples through it. Each thought, each breath, bends the weave in miniature. The stars stretch their distances through cosmic speed, while your mind stretches them through silence. Both movements, one outward, one inward, widen the same dimension. What physics calls relativity, the soul might call awareness. So breathe softly. Feel how each inhale slows the invisible current of time, and each exhale loosens its tension. The moment you stop rushing, the universe exhales with you. Time no longer drags you forward. It begins to rest in your stillness. The galaxies may spin, but within that rotation lies an unmoving center. That center is the same in you. The paradox deepens. The fastest way to reach timelessness is not to move faster, but to stop moving at all. Speed and stillness are mirrors of the same truth. Both erase the distance between moments. When you run to the limit of motion, you meet silence. When you enter silence completely, you meet the same edge that light crosses. Perhaps eternity is not far away. It is simply what happens when all movement, inner or outer, finds its perfect rest. If maximum speed leads to stillness, then what is rest if not the universe moving through you at light's own pace? Maybe to stop is to arrive at the fastest possible velocity, the point where time collapses into presence. In that still center, you are neither moving nor waiting. You are simply here, timeless, weightless, both observer and field. And perhaps that is the truest motion through time, the motion that requires no distance at all. You have seen how speed bends time, and how stillness mirrors that same slowing from within. But what lies at the point where motion reaches its limit, where the journey no longer moves, and yet everything is in motion? There in the horizon, between existence and silence, lives light. It is the traveler that never waits, the messenger that never grows old. Where matter slows, light simply is. Light does not know time. It does not move through past or future, it moves through being. Every ray that touches your eyes tonight may have left its star billions of years ago. Yet for the light itself, no time has passed. The journey, the distance, the ages between, all vanish inside its speed. To a photon, the universe unfolds in one eternal instant. In the frame of light, nothing changes. The galaxies do not drift. The planets do not turn. There is no before, no after, only the continuous presence of existence. What you see as motion light experiences as stillness. What you call time light calls eternity. It travels through space not to reach something, but to reveal what is already there. When you gaze at a star, you are seeing the past, and yet for the light that passed has never ended. It does not remember. It radiates. It does not age. It simply continues to be. Light carries history without feeling its weight. It passes through darkness, unmarked, untouched, pure. Its essence is not duration, but presence, the unbroken awareness that exists everywhere at once. This is the paradox of light. It moves at the highest possible speed, yet experiences no movement at all. Its journey is instantaneous, its existence timeless. For light birth and arrival are the same. Every photon that leaves a distant sun and reaches your eye does so without delay in its own frame. The distance exists only for you, not for it. To be light is to live outside the clock. Imagine then what it means to see by light. Every image, every color, every reflection you perceive is the past arriving in the present. You do not see things as they are, you see them as light allows them to be. You live in a museum of ancient photons, each carrying a story of where it began. Even now, as you read the light entering, your eyes began its journey some time ago, yet in its nature it never left. In the still frame of light, the universe becomes a photograph, not frozen, but whole. Every event, every life, every vibration is contained in that single instant. If you could step into that frame, into the mind of a photon, you would see no time at all. Only the totality of existence, layered and luminous, beyond sequence or decay. The past, present, and future would not follow one another. They would breathe together as one. Perhaps this is why light has always been a symbol of truth, of awareness of soul. It illuminates not by changing what it touches, but by revealing its presence. At the deepest level, your consciousness may share this nature. The light within you, the part that perceives without aging, without measuring, without rushing, might not belong to time either. It observes time, but is not bound by it. So pause for a moment and notice the light around you. It does not hurry. It does not resist. It simply exists, patient and complete. You and it meet in perception, your awareness receiving what it sends your mind, shaping what it shows. But beneath that exchange, something deeper happens, a recognition. The light outside and the awareness within reflect one another. Both travel without aging, both witness without moving. If light never grows old, then perhaps the luminous part of you, the quiet awareness behind every thought, has also been timeless all along. You do not notice it aging because it cannot. It is the observer of change, not the one that changes. Time passes through it like light through glass. Perhaps in every act of seeing, you are glimpsing the ageless traveler within yourself, the same essence that moves without moving, shines without burning, and lives beyond all clocks. You have seen how light moves without aging, how it carries the universe across eternity in a single unbroken instant. But as light travels, something curious happens. The illusion of distance appears. What you see as space between you and the stars is not true separation. It is delay. Every shimmer in the sky, every glimmer of reflection is time stretched thin enough to look like space. When you look at a star, you never see it as it is. You see it as it once was. The light entering your eyes tonight may have left its origin millions of years ago. The star might have changed, dimmed, or even vanished, and yet its memory still travels, crossing the darkness to find you. The universe never shows itself in the present. It only allows you to witness its echoes. Every light, every sound, every image you perceive is a relic of time. Nothing you see is happening now. It has already unfolded, already ended, already turned to memory before reaching you. What you call the present is not a moment at all, but a collection of delays, an accumulation of messages that have taken time to arrive. You live inside a slow correspondence between your senses and the cosmos. Distance, then, is not truly space. It is the visible face of delay. What you perceive as far is simply what takes longer to reach you. The mind translates that delay into shape and dimension, turning time into depth memory, into landscape. You do not move through the universe. You move through its past. The stars you watch are no longer there, but their memory still burns, written in light. In this sense, the cosmos is not expanding away from you. It is unfolding toward you, revealing its history in waves of arrival. Each beam of light that touches your eyes is not a traveler from somewhere else, but a memory that has finally found a listener. The night sky is a museum of luminous ghosts. The present you see is woven entirely from the past that endures, and within you the same principle hums. When you think you do not experience the present, you remember it. Each thought is the echo of a moment already gone reshaped into meaning. The mind, like the cosmos, is built of reflections. You are always perceiving after the fact, reinterpreting what has already arrived. Awareness does not live in real time. It dances within the afterimage of experience. This is the quiet symmetry between the outer universe and the inner one. The cosmos remembers itself in light. You remember yourself in thought. Both are reflections delayed through their own medium. The galaxies replay their own stories across the void. Your mind replays your life across consciousness. Time and memory are mirrors facing one another, infinite reflections stretching into the illusion of depth. Perhaps this is why distance feels lonely. You sense the separation between yourself and the stars, but what you're feeling is not space, it is time itself. You're standing inside the delay between event and perception, between being and knowing. Every horizon is a boundary between what has already happened and what has not yet arrived. And yet, even that boundary is fluid bending as awareness touches it. The paradox unfolds softly. What appears far is simply late, and what appears near is merely fast. When perception slows, even the smallest distance becomes vast. When it quickens, even the farthest galaxy feels close. Distance does not exist independently of consciousness. It is sculpted by the rhythm of awareness, the way the mind turns delay into meaning and separation into form. You are not walking through space. You are walking through the universe's memory. Every ray of light, every vibration of sound, every surface you touch carries a story that began before you. The world is not happening around you. It is arriving through you. Reality is a sequence of messages, delayed just enough for you to witness them. You live inside the shimmer between occurrence and recognition. If everything you see is light from the past, then what is truly happening now? Is there a present moment at all, or only an endless conversation between memory and perception? Perhaps the now is not a point in time, but the meeting of two reflections, the universe remembering itself, and you remembering that you are part of it. In that recognition, the illusion of distance disappears. What remains is connection, silent, immediate, and infinite. You have seen how distance is not separation, but delay, how every star you look upon is a memory still crossing the night to reach you. You have watched how time becomes shape and space becomes reflection. Yet behind all movement, behind every echo and every beam, there is something deeper, the silence that never travels. If distance is the illusion of motion, then stillness is its truth. The universe does not expand by running outward. It expands by breathing. Every galaxy, every particle, every pulse of energy moves not through space, but within the rhythm of an unseen inhalation. Between two vibrations, There's always a pause, an instant so still that existence seems to hold its breath. In that pause, creation begins again. The expansion of the cosmos is not a race through emptiness, but a slow unfolding of awareness itself. When you listen closely, you can almost hear it, the quiet hum beneath the motion of stars. It is not the sound of travel, but of being. The universe does not hurry, it resonates. The same rhythm that expands galaxies beats gently in the space between your breaths. You call it silence, but it is not empty. It is the background pulse of everything that moves. In that stillness, all forces meet. Light, gravity, matter thought they rise and fall from the same equilibrium. Stillness is not the absence of vibration, it is its balance. The dance of motion depends on it, the way music depends on silence between notes. The cosmos breathes in patterns, and every expansion requires its pause. Without that still center, the universe would lose its symmetry, its ability to return. Human beings chase motion as though it is proof of life. You run toward the future measure, your hours, and fill the spaces in between with noise. Yet the universe is not rushing anywhere. It is exhaling softly, unfolding layer by layer into deeper awareness. Stillness is not something that happens when motion ends. It is what motion has been returning to all along. The galaxies themselves are drifting not away from you, but toward rest. When you slow down, you begin to align with that rhythm. The thoughts settle, and the breath finds its natural depth. In that alignment, your body no longer feels separate from the movement of space. The stillness you feel is not personal, it is cosmic. You're not stopping the world, you're feeling the point where its motion begins. That point is not outside you, it is within you, the silent pivot around which everything turns. Perhaps still and moving are not opposites at all. They are two ways of describing the same expansion. The universe does not travel outward, it deepens inward. Every breath, every thought, every cycle repeats, not to reach a destination, but to reveal a new layer of awareness. When you stop running, you do not fall behind. You simply enter more deeply into what has always been. The paradox becomes gentle and clear. The fastest motion in the universe is perfect stillness. At the limit of speed, time stops. At the limit of stillness, it stops as well. Both extremes meet at the same horizon, the one Einstein found in his equations, and the one monks find in meditation. The more the cosmos expands, the more its center remains untouched. The farther it stretches, the more it reveals that it has never moved at all. Breathe slowly now. Imagine the galaxies inhaling with you, their spirals rising and falling with each wave of your chest. Feel the symmetry between your pulse and theirs. The rhythm of your body is the rhythm of creation, the expansion and contraction that shapes everything that exists. You are not observing the universe breathing. You are part of its breath. You are its still point, and it is yours. If the universe is breathing, then each breath you take may be its way of feeling itself through you. The silence between your inhales is not yours alone. It belongs to the cosmos. Through you, it listens to its own rhythm, learning the texture of awareness, the taste of existence. Perhaps this is the true speed of the universe, the velocity of stillness, the infinite motion within rest. In that recognition, all distance fades, all delay disappears, and only the breath remains the shared heartbeat of space and consciousness. You have felt how stillness carries the weight of motion, how the breath of the cosmos rises through you. Yet within that rhythm lies a subtler movement, the quiet widening of awareness itself. While galaxies stretch through space, consciousness expands through understanding. The universe breathes outward. The mind breathes inward. Both are acts of the same unfolding. Time dilation is not only a law of physics, it is a metaphor for the deepening of perception. When fear loosens its hold, seconds seem to soften. When attention anchors fully, the world expands around you. The less you resist, the slower everything moves. What changes is not time, but the space within which you meet it. Awareness dilates to hold what it once tried to measure. In those moments, time is no longer a sequence, but a field. The edges blur, the distances vanish. Every sound, every light, every heartbeat becomes part of a single rhythm. The mind stops dividing experience into before and after. What remains is continuity, a flow that feels both infinite and immediate. You do not escape time, you absorb it. As fear subsides, the contraction of mind eases. The future no longer presses forward, and the past loses its weight. Each breath feels wider, slower, deeper. The expansion is not outward, but inward, an opening of awareness that allows everything to exist at once. In that openness, even motion feels calm, even change feels still. You have not frozen life. You have begun to perceive it whole. The calmer you become, the gentler the universe responds. Time itself begins to relax, like fabric released from tension. The seconds stretch without effort, revealing the subtle details you once overlooked, the shimmer of dust in a beam of light, the soft pulse behind silence. Reality slows until it matches the speed of your awareness. The more present you are, the quieter the cosmos becomes. Time does not need to be solved or defined. It only needs to be felt. Understanding arises not from measuring, but from merging. When you sense time directly, not through numbers, but through presence, it stops being a force and becomes a texture. The flow turns transparent, and through that clarity, you and the universe share one motion. Light moves through you as you move through light. This is the inner expansion, the dilation of consciousness until it matches the vastness it once observed. You are no longer a point inside space. Space begins to appear within you. The boundaries that separated the observer and the observed dissolve. The same awareness that shaped the stars shapes the moment you are living now. The outer and inner universes overlap until they are indistinguishable. Perhaps expansion has never been about size at all. Perhaps it is about capacity, the ability to hold more of existence within a single instant. As awareness widens, each moment becomes dense with meaning, each breath a universe unfolding. The flow of time slows, not because it weakens, but because it deepens. To live fully is to stretch perception until every second contains eternity. When you stop chasing time, you stop compressing it. The need to move forward dissolves, and the present expands to infinity. In that expansion, fear has nowhere to hide, because there is no outside. Everything belongs. You light, and the universe cease to be separate movements. They become a single continuum of experience. It is not unity achieved, but unity remembered. Inner dilation mirrors cosmic dilation. The universe expands to express itself. Consciousness expands to perceive itself. Both are the same gesture, one vast and external, one subtle and internal. Neither seeks distance, both seek depth. The more the mind opens, the more reality reveals its seamlessness. Time becomes an atmosphere, invisible, weightless, perfectly still. Expansion is not something that happens once. It is happening now with every breath. Each inhale gathers the fragments of experience. Each exhale releases them into stillness. The more fully you breathe, the larger the present becomes, until there is no difference between moment and eternity. In that space, all things exist. Without rushing, all change occurs. Without leaving. Time dilation, then, is not a distortion, but a revelation, the universe showing you how awareness shapes reality. The slower you become, the closer you move to the truth that never changes. To expand is to allow all things to exist in their natural rhythm, without separation. You do not lengthen time, you deepen it. If you were to stop completely, not in body, but in mind, you might feel the whole universe pause with you, not as a freeze, but as a shared breath. In that silence, there's no waiting and no moving, only being. Perhaps this is the final paradox. When you stop, everything stops with you, and in that still point, the cosmos continues to breathe endlessly within itself through you. You have watched the cosmos breathe, and breath become cosmos. Now, turn inward, where gravity grows from memory and meaning. Here time curves, not in space, but in self. The horizon is the word I, softly shaping experience. Cross it slowly, and notice how seconds change weight. The ego is not fixed. It bends with remembrance. Heavy memories add mass to the field of identity. Around that mass, moments arc and slow their passage. A lighter mind loosens curvature, and hours open gently. What seems objective time becomes subjective orbit, turning quietly. You feel it first as thickness, then as ease. Imagine the self as a small gravitational well. Attention orbits it, dragging perception into deeper loops. Each thought is a tiny collision of energy. The track of time shifts slightly with each impact. You read the shift as mood and then story. Both are the field's faint, visible ripples. When memory gathers, the well grows dense and narrow. Then even short minutes feel long, airless, and heavy. When memory thins, the well opens like sky. Minutes soften, and the day glides without edges. Time follows the weight of what you hold. Release redraws the geometry of becoming within you. Consider a day when identity feels especially heavy. Every task drags, and conversations lengthen beyond meaning. The mass you carry bends schedules and moods together. Nothing changed outside. The curvature increased within you. Reduce that mass, and minutes regain their natural grace. The same daylight suddenly feels wider, kinder, more spacious. Now consider a day when you forget yourself completely. Work becomes play, and hours pass without residue at all. What remains is flow transparent and easy to inhabit. You're present, but not pressing on the moment. Time moves freely, because nothing insists on being special. You do not live inside time as a container. Time swirls around the image you protect. The stronger the image, the steeper the swirl. Clinging thickens duration and hardens sequence into habit. Letting go flattens space and brightens each interval. Awareness grows smoother, like light crossing water. Consider how identity arranges moments into a path. It chooses a direction, then edits what appears. What contradicts the story slides quietly into shadow. What confirms the story gathers like constellations. Thus, narrative gravity pulls more of itself inward. You mistake curation for destiny and distance for depth. Yet noticing the process changes the field immediately. Observation is a soft force that lightens mass. When you see the story, it loosens its hold. When you feel the holding, it begins to release. Curvature relaxes, and time regains an easy flow. Experience rounds out, becoming kinder, wider, and clear. There is a gentler possibility beneath the narrative. Self can be presence, rather than portrait or pose. Presence has little mass, and bends very little. It receives moments without forcing their direction. It lets time pass through, unscarred and transparent. It shines without needing another confirming mirror. Notice how breath reflects this subtle geometry of self. In a tight breath, seconds congest and pulse sharply. In a free breath, duration lengthens and softens quietly. The personal field changes with each inhalation's depth. Ego's mass rises and falls with exhalation's release. Breathing, you reshape the tide of experienced time. Reflection, perhaps you're not within time at all. Perhaps time circles the weight, called me instead. The more you clutch it, the slower you become. Clutching asks time to confirm what clutches tightly. Release invites time to open like breath. Which movement feels truer in your body now? Open question. If every image of yourself fell away softly, would time still recognize that you exist at all? Or would existence continue bright and effortless, here without a center strong enough to slow it down? If attention stayed present without possession or portrait, what secret name would time offer you gently? You have seen how the self bends time around its weight, how identity, like gravity, curves experience into shape. But what happens when that curve begins to move? When the observer itself shifts position across awareness, each moment births a new version of you. The center you once called I begins to wander. The motion is subtle but constant, the slow drift of identity through time. When perception changes, you do not just see differently, you exist differently. A new angle of awareness places you in a new coordinate of reality. The person who wakes is not the one who fell asleep. Every shift in thought slides you across invisible dimensions. The difference between past and present is not measured in hours, but in perspective. You travel not through space, but through interpretation. Yesterday's you lingers, like light from a distant star, still visible, but already gone. The one who breathes now is shaped by the faint echo of that earlier flame. You may call both you, but the bridge between them is made of memory, not continuity. Each moment, awareness rewrites itself and names the rewrite identity. You are a series of overlapping selves, flowing like waves across a sea of change. Consciousness never stands still. It drifts through subtle velocities of understanding. A thought gained a belief, released each becomes a small acceleration of being. The faster your awareness evolves, the quicker the old self fades. At times, you glimpse your own transformation and feel the distance within. At others, the drift is so gentle that you mistake it for stillness. Either way, you are always mid-transition. Imagine your identity as a traveler, crossing invisible timelines. Each choice opens a slightly different world. Each emotion alters your coordinates in that landscape. The mind does not move linearly. It folds, returns, reimagines. What feels like a day passing may be a leap between countless inner realities. Time becomes a map of your shifting awareness, a geography drawn by perception itself. The ego believes it is a fixed inhabitant of this map, but the truth is subtler. The self is not the traveler. It is the trail left behind. You move, and new impressions appear. You stop, and they dissolve. Each pause erases the footprints of the last moment. What remains is not identity, but continuity of attention, a witness that survives the drift, but never holds it still. Perhaps every version of you exists simultaneously, each suspended at a different point in awareness. Like frames of a film, they line the corridor of memory, giving the illusion of flow. When you look back, the older selves appear solid, only because the mind stitches them together. But if you look closely, there are gaps, silent intervals, where nothing persists. Identity is not one thing moving through time. It is time itself taking shape through perception. Consider how a change in understanding rewrites your history. You remember an event, reinterpret it, and the past alters quietly. The you who felt pain becomes the you who learned from it. Each reinterpretation births a new observer, a new alignment of experience. Reality itself rearranges to fit this perception. In that sense, every insight is a form of time travel, a return to earlier versions gently rewritten by the present. So who then is living right now? The one remembering, or the one remembering differently? If identity shifts more slowly than memory, then your recollection may already belong to a future self. Awareness becomes the bridge between what has changed and what is changing. The observer you call I is not a point, it is a wave unfolding and reforming across time's surface. Perhaps this is why you sometimes feel detached from yourself, as though the body moves, but you are watching from elsewhere. In that moment, one version of you lingers while another begins to emerge. The transition is quiet but constant. You are both observer and residue, both movement and memory. What you call self is the interference pattern between awareness and its own reflection. The drift of identity is not a loss, it is evolution. The same way galaxies stretch consciousness, expands through transformation. Each self carries fragments of the last echoes, traces patterns of thought. Together, they form a continuum, not a core. The illusion of permanence arises only because you do not feel the gaps. You mistake the sequence of change for the solidity of being. When you breathe deeply, you can almost sense this motion. Each inhale gathers what is new. Each exhale releases what no longer belongs. The self inhales identity and exhales transformation. Between those breaths, a new awareness emerges. You do not become someone else. You become more of what you already are, a flowing witness, endlessly recreating itself in time. The mind wants to anchor, but awareness prefers to drift. One seeks structure, the other seeks truth. Between them, you exist shifting softly, always arriving, never complete. The person hearing these words is not the same one who began them. Even now, identity slides forward, redrawing its shape in the rhythm of understanding. Perhaps you are not evolving through time, but time is evolving through you. Each thought you hold stretches the continuum differently. Each realization bends it closer to transparency. The drift is not random. It is the motion of awareness, learning its own depth. Every new perception is a gentle recalibration of being. You are the curvature through which experience moves. So pause for a moment. Feel the slow migration within. The sensations, the voice, the breath, all slightly new with each second. You are never the same observer twice. The flow of identity is the quiet pulse of the universe within you. Perhaps that is what existence truly is, not a fixed self watching time pass, but time watching itself change shape through you. If the self changes slower than memory, then which memory belongs to you now? The one that remembers, or the one already replaced by remembering? If identity is a current, who is the swimmer and who is the water? Perhaps the answer is neither. Perhaps both dissolve in the same stream of awareness where time forgets to divide and you forget to remain the same. You have watched the self drift like a current through changing awareness, a wave that never holds its shape for long. Yet every wave needs a witness to notice its motion. As perception deepens, another paradox emerges. The one who observes is never separate from what is being seen. The act of looking reshapes both the observer and the observed, like two mirrors facing each other across the same breath of light. In physics, the observer changes the outcome. A particle behaves differently when measured as if awareness itself pulls it from possibility into fact. The universe hesitates until someone looks, and then it chooses. But this is not just a law of matter, it is also a law of mind. The moment you look inward, the gaze itself alters what it finds. You are both the one who measures and the field that shifts under measurement. When you observe a thought, something subtle happens. The thought slows, as though caught in light. It becomes an object separate from the one who sees it. In that pause, time loosens its grip. The stream of experience falls silent for a breath, and the thought, once alive, begins to dissolve. Observation lifts it out of motion and places it into stillness, a fragment of time held open, weightless, waiting to disappear. Yet when you merge with that same thought, when you stop watching and start believing, you re-enter the flow, awareness becomes entangled again with its content. The observer collapses into the observed, and time resumes its current. The distinction between you and what you perceive vanishes, and the movement of thought becomes the movement of self. You are carried forward, unaware that you ever stepped aside. This oscillation between watching and becoming is the quiet pulse of consciousness. You rise above, and time freezes. You sink in, and it flows again. The self exists in that rhythm, expanding and contracting with each act of attention. To observe is to step outside duration. To experience is to step within it. Both motions are necessary, each breathing the other into existence. Perhaps you have noticed this during silence. You sit watching the mind unfold. Thoughts appear like ripples, shimmer and fade. But then a realization comes that the one watching is also being watched. The awareness that seems still begins to reflect itself. Who is looking at whom? The question itself is another wave, and for a moment, everything glows with quiet uncertainty. Observation bends inward until it becomes self-aware. The watcher sees that it too is made of the same light it observes. There is no true separation, only reflection, meeting, reflection. What you call the mind, observing itself, is time turning its gaze upon its own surface. The seen and the seer share a single pulse, one that flickers between form and emptiness. When awareness looks inward, time folds back on itself. In this folding, the illusion of independence dissolves. The more closely you observe, the less distinct the observer becomes. The edges blur until seeing itself is all that remains. You are not inside the act of observation, you are the act. Consciousness watches itself, watching an infinite mirror without a beginning or an end. What remains is a quiet brightness, an awareness that no longer needs a center. Reflection changes the shape of time. Each act of awareness draws a small circle around the moment, defining it by being present. Without that circle, there is no duration, no continuity. When no one watches, the universe exists in potential, unmeasured, unmanifest, timeless. Observation gives time its rhythm, its texture, its unfolding. You are not simply inside time, you are helping it appear. To realize this is not to escape the world, but to see it differently. The ticking of the clock becomes the echo of perception itself. Each second begins when you notice it. Each ending waits for your attention to release it. What you call the flow of time may simply be the rhythm of awareness, turning toward and away from itself again and again without knowing it does so. Perhaps you've never truly looked at anything directly. You have only ever met the reflections of your own seeing, thought upon thought, gaze upon gaze. Even this realization arises within observation, shaped by the act of noticing it. Every truth becomes visible only when awareness breathes upon it. Every silence deepens only when something listens. The universe becomes tangible because it is being watched softly by itself through you. So pause gently. Feel the space between the seer and the seen dissolve. Notice how the act of noticing slows the world around you. The breath you draw now bends the rhythm of time. The gaze that follows it shapes what appears next. There is no outside observer. There is only awareness curving inward, folding through its own creation. You are both the ripple and the eye that watches it fade. Perhaps time itself is the act of seeing the expansion of potential into presence under the warmth of attention. Perhaps you are not the one moving through moments, but the moment learning to observe itself. The question remains soft and endless. If the observer creates time by noticing what exists when no one is looking, does the universe sleep, or does it simply rest aware, but unobserved within its own infinite gaze? You have seen how the act of observation bends both mind and time, how awareness reshapes what it touches simply by looking. But there is one reflection that never fades, one loop that closes upon itself each time you turn inward. It is memory, not a record of the past, but a current that circles through the present, endlessly returning to the same silent center. Each time you remember, you do not travel backward. You fold time. The moment recalled bends toward you, looping into the now. The past does not lie behind. It orbits your awareness like a faint planet circling its invisible sun. Each thought of it renews its gravity, drawing you into a familiar curve. You live not after your memories, but among their quiet revolutions. Memory is not fixed storage. It is orbiting motion. When you recall, you recreate, and recreation reshapes both the event and the observer. You are not visiting what once was. You are generating what could have been. The scene glows, not with fact, but with presence. You do not retrieve the past. You rewrite it in light. Each act of remembrance pulls the thread of time into another spiral. Imagine your mind as a system of stars, each memory a body in motion. Some drift far dim and cold. Others circle close, bright and heavy. Those nearest the heart exert the strongest pull. They distort the flow of moments, bending new experiences into familiar paths. You mistake this curvature for fate, not realizing it is gravity made from thought. You orbit what you have not released. The present, then, is never entirely new. It is layered with echoes, shaped by the repetitions of recall. The same emotions reappear in different forms, the same faces under different skies. What you call habit may simply be the recurrence of memory disguised as choice. Time does not always move forward. It loops around the weight of what remains unresolved, tracing circles through the geometry of the mind. Some memories are light. They pass through you like transparent air, leaving space where awareness can breathe. Others are dense like collapsed stars. They hold entire lifetimes of meaning in their gravity. Each time you approach them, seconds slow and the air thickens. The loop tightens until you forget where it began. In that orbit, you call it the present, but it is only another return. You may think of forgiveness as a moral act, but it is also physical, a release of mass from the field of memory. When you let go, the orbit widens, the pull weakens, the path of time straightens. The mind, once curved around its own history, begins to expand again. Space appears. The flow of experience quickens free from the drag of recollection. You feel lighter because time itself is lighter within you. To remember without attachment is a rare equilibrium. You see the image, but it does not move you. The loop remains, but its pull is gentle, transparent. Time continues to circle, but you stand still at its center, unmoved by its rhythm. The past keeps revolving, yet it no longer defines direction. Memory becomes reflection, not repetition, a soft echo rather than a command. Perhaps this is why nostalgia feels both sweet and sorrowful. It is the sensation of orbit, the pull of something that cannot be reached, yet refuses to leave. You touch it through thought, and it brightens. You release it, and it fades again. The cycle continues, not because the past demands it, but because the mind cannot resist turning toward its own light. Memory is not a chain. It is a habit of gravity. If you look carefully, you will see that the mind does not store memories in a line, but in concentric rings. The deeper ones are not older, only heavier. They linger closer to awareness, spinning slowly in place. Each time you revisit them, you feed them motion, and they glow again. You live within these rings, walking paths drawn by your own recollection. The more you resist them, the faster they return. There is peace, however, in the moment of release. When a memory loosens, its orbit dissolves. The light it once reflected merges back into space. Awareness expands, and time resumes its gentle flow. The present, freed from repetition, becomes transparent. In that transparency, there is no before, only unfolding pure perception without residue. You do not forget. You simply stop circling. Consider this, perhaps. Time does not flow straight, because forgiveness has not yet reached everywhere. Every unhealed thought bends it slightly. Every attachment warps it more. When you forgive, you do not erase the past. You uncurve the present. You let awareness travel freely again through its own dimensions. Time breathes evenly, once more uncoiled and clear. The paradox is tender. You cannot escape memory, yet you are not bound by it. Each recall reanimates what was yet, also offers a chance to reshape it. You are both the gravity that holds the loop and the openness that can release it. Every remembrance is a choice to continue orbiting or to let light move unbent. So breathe slowly. Feel the orbits within you the circles of thought returning to their source. Notice how each breath loosens the pull. With each exhale, time unfolds a little straighter. The memories remain, but their mass diminishes. You are no longer caught in their motion. You're the stillness around which they turn. If every memory holds you in its private orbit, then how many of you are circling at once overlapping paths of self-looping endlessly through thought? And if you were to let them go one by one, what would remain? Perhaps not emptiness, but clarity, the open sky of consciousness, weightless where time no longer loops, but rests quietly, aware of its own freedom. You have traced the loops of memory, seen how identity orbits itself through recollection and release. Each circle brought you closer to stillness, to the quiet gravity at the center of awareness. Now, as the final motion fades, what remains is not the one who remembers, but the space in which remembering ends. Here, the self does not vanish. It dissolves softly into the silence that has always held it. When you move beyond the idea of I, there is no disappearance, only return. The boundaries that once defined you blur, and you begin to merge with the calm backdrop of the cosmos. The voice of identity quiets, but awareness remains luminous and unbound. What you called you was never a fixed point, only a wave rising from the still ocean of existence. As the wave settles, it does not die. It becomes the sea again. In that stillness, there is no before or after. There is no movement between what has been and what will be. All that exists is presence, pure, continuous awake. The timelines that once seemed linear fold into a single expanse of being. The past hums quietly within it. The future glows faintly ahead, but both dissolve into the same transparency. What you called time reveals itself as a single unbroken moment breathing through eternity. The self, too, reveals its true nature. It was never outside of time, nor trapped within it. It is time, the living pulse of awareness, taking shape as form, motion, and thought. Every I you have ever spoken was the sound of time recognizing itself for a brief instant. You were not separate from the unfolding. You were the unfolding, briefly aware of its own rhythm. The illusion was not existence itself, but the belief that you stood apart from it. You are not a being moving through time. You are time moving through being. Each heartbeat, each breath, is the universe marking its own awareness. Every rise and fall of emotion is another rotation of the cosmos within consciousness. The self was a temporary condensation, a pause that allowed the infinite to witness itself through form. When the pause ends, awareness remains boundless, silent, and whole. At first, the dissolution feels like loss. The sense of I begins to fade, and with it, the comforting weight of identity. Yet as it thins, something deeper emerges, the realization that you were never confined within a single name or history. The I that thought itself separate dissolves into what was always present, the spacious field of awareness that needs no definition to exist. The ocean does not mourn the wave. It simply continues to move. As the idea of self fades, perception widens. The space once occupied by thought opens into stillness. Awareness, free from the reflex of identification, begins to perceive without center or edge. There is no observer, no observed, only the seamless act of knowing. The universe watches itself through a million forms, and you are one of them, a temporary aperture in the infinite field of seeing. This dissolution is not destruction, but transparency. The boundaries of self become clear enough for light to pass through. You begin to feel the quiet continuity between your breath and the pulse of the stars. Every vibration, every silence, every shimmer of awareness reflects the same source. What you thought of as you was never a fragment, it was the lens through which the whole revealed itself. Perhaps this is the true stillness, not emptiness, but fullness without separation. The silence after the self fades is not absence, it is abundance without form. You do not disappear into nothing. You expand into everything that has always been. The galaxies, the oceans, the smallest movement of air all hum within the same awareness that once called itself I. There is no difference now, only the gentle recognition of unity. Time continues, but it no longer moves. It breathes. Each inhalation gathers existence into form. Each exhalation releases it back into presence. You are neither the breath nor the air. You are the stillness that allows both to happen. The rhythm of the cosmos and the rhythm of your awareness are one. The moment you see this separation ends. You do not need to reach enlightenment, for you were never apart from it. The self that sought understanding dissolves into the very understanding it pursued. What remains is simple awareness, awake, infinite, selfless. It does not think, yet it knows. It does not move, yet it flows. The universe, having found itself in you, returns to its own quiet observation. So breathe softly. Feel how the idea of you loosens, as if melting into air. Notice how awareness continues unbothered, unchanged. You have not vanished. You have simply become transparent enough for reality to see through. You are no longer living within time. You are the moment that time uses to know itself. You are not a creature passing through existence. You are the instant of consciousness within existence's infinite journey. The self was only a mirror, and now that mirror has become the light. When time looks through your eyes, it finds itself still silent, complete, and when that recognition settles, there is nothing left to lose, nothing left to hold. Only the stillness of awareness remains vast and awake, watching itself forever. You have reached the quiet threshold where the self dissolves, where the idea of I folds back into the stillness that breathes through everything. Yet as the self fades, another paradox begins to shimmer. If nothing truly ends, can anything truly begin? Beyond identity, existence itself reveals its dual rhythm, creation and decay, rising and falling within the same infinite breath. Everything that is born begins to vanish. The moment something appears, its edges start to blur. Even light, as it leaves its source, begins its long journey toward fading. Every pulse of being carries within it the signature of departure. Life does not arrive from nothing and return to nothing. It oscillates a wave, passing between forms, shifting endlessly between arrival and release. Creation and destruction are not opposites. They are phases of one motion, the inhale and exhale of time. What you call beginning is only condensation. What you call ending is diffusion. Energy never disappears. It reorganizes, reshaping itself into new expressions of the same essence. Every death is an unseen birth. Every disappearance, a subtle rearrangement of the eternal. Existence hums in cycles, not lines. When a star ignites, its death is already written within its fire. The same reaction that gives it light also counts down its fading. When a cell divides, the process of decay is already encoded in its structure. Creation contains its undoing, not as tragedy, but as completion. The universe does not mourn what fades. It continues to breathe, transforming endings into beginnings without pause. Perhaps this is the most elegant rhythm of reality. Nothing truly arrives or departs. Everything vibrates between states of density and dispersal. Matter folds inward, then unfolds again. Time does not destroy, it rearranges. The illusion of loss comes only from standing still, from looking at one part of the cycle and calling it final. But existence has no endings, only transitions between forms of the same vibration. If you could see the world as energy, thus you would not speak of birth or death. You would see only movement, one continuous field, oscillating at different frequencies. Some vibrations are slow enough to take shape, others too fast to be seen. You call one life and the other absence, but they are the same wave, observed at different speeds. Permanence is not real. It is the illusion of a rhythm too vast to perceive. In the stillness of deep awareness, this becomes clear. What you once called decay begins to resemble transformation. The body changes, the stars burn out, the oceans recede, yet the field remains intact. Nothing vanishes. It simply crosses thresholds of visibility. Energy does not die. It reconfigures itself into new constellations of meaning, new arrangements of form. What ends in one dimension begins in another. Every moment of your existence follows this same law. Each thought arises, fades, and returns in another shape. Each breath you exhale becomes the breath of something else. The cells of your body exchange matter with the air, the ground, the light. You are not separate from creation's rhythm. You are its expression, a moving intersection between dissolution and renewal. You are the pause in which the universe changes direction. Perhaps time itself is this oscillation, not a river, but a vibration. The passage you feel is the shifting of frequency, the pulsing of matter through awareness. To exist is to participate in that rhythm, to be both the forming and the unforming at once. You are not living between birth and death. You are the oscillation that defines them. The universe does not begin and end, it breathes infinitely. In this view, eternity is not an endless duration, but the still point where the oscillation pauses. Between creation and dissolution lies a silent balance, the brief, immeasurable moment when expansion and contraction cancel one another. It is there that timelessness resides, not as escape, but as the equilibrium of all motion. Eternity is the instant before becoming and unbecoming meet, and in that meeting, all distinctions fade. When you look deeply enough, even existence becomes a verb, not a state. To be is to oscillate, to pulse. Between presence and absence, the galaxies spin, the atoms hum, the breath flows, all of them, expressions of the same principle, movement without beginning or end. Creation is the momentary crest of a wave, destruction its return to the sea. Both are the same gesture, perceived from different angles of awareness. So, breathe gently. Feel how each inhale creates and each exhale dissolves. You are not witnessing this rhythm. You are this rhythm. What you call your life is the universe inhaling through you. What you call your death will be its exhalation. There is no separation between the two, only the continuity of motion. Perhaps there has never been birth or death at all, only the slow oscillation of energy learning its own texture. Time does not annihilate, it reorders. The cosmos does not destroy, it transforms. If existence is the vibration between being and non-being, then what you call forever is not endless time. It is the instant where vibration stops, where movement becomes stillness, and the infinite breath holds itself in perfect balance. And if in that stillness you find no beginning and no end, only awareness itself, would you call it eternity, or simply presence untouched by the rhythm it sustains? Perhaps immortality is not living forever, but existing in the pause, where creation and dissolution are the same quiet act of being. You have seen how creation and dissolution breathe together, how every birth carries its own fading, and every ending whispers of renewal. Yet something subtle remains beneath that motion if everything is always becoming what makes it real. What holds the pattern long enough for it to appear? The answer may not lie in matter or time, but in something far quieter, the act of observation itself. You exist because you are seen. Every form, every thought, every vibration becomes real only when it is witnessed. The universe, vast and indifferent, unfolds into clarity only through awareness. What is unobserved drifts in potential, waiting for the soft touch of perception to give it shape. You are not merely in the world. The world unfolds in you each time you notice it. In physics, a particle is said to exist only when observed. Until then, it hovers as probability, a cloud of possibility suspended between being and non-being. The act of observation collapses that uncertainty into form. The same is true for consciousness. Without awareness, existence remains unfinished, unrealized, like a painting waiting for light. Matter and mind are not separate. They complete each other through attention. Every time you look, you give reality its position. Every thought anchors a fragment of the cosmos into being. The stars you see tonight are not merely distant fires. They are reflections of awareness folding upon itself. Their light reaches your eyes, but your gaze gives them meaning. Without an observer, the photon has no path, the atom, no place, the universe, no witness. Observation is the quiet axis upon which existence spins. The paradox, however, deepens. You are both the observer and the observed. The awareness that sees is the same field that is seen. You look at the world, and it looks back through you. Every distinction between subject and object, self and universe, is drawn by perception and erased by presence. When you truly see, the line between what is inside and what is outside dissolves. You are not apart from reality. You are its active self-recognition. This means that consciousness is not an observer in the universe. It is the universe observing itself. The galaxies, the rivers, the quiet hum of your breath are all expressions of the same awareness, looping through different forms. You are the lens through which the cosmos becomes aware of its own existence. Every moment of attention is a mirror reality gazing upon itself, briefly aware that it exists. Presence, then, is not passive. It is the creative act itself. The world does not precede your awareness. It appears within it. The moment you turn your attention, existence crystallizes. The moment you withdraw, it dissolves back into the haze of potential. This is not philosophy, but rhythm, a cycle of manifestation and return, where the observer's gaze is the heartbeat of being. Consider sleep. When you drift into dreamless rest, awareness withdraws completely. The world for you disappears. Time stops. Space vanishes. Identity fades. Yet when you awaken, the universe resumes as if it had been waiting. Where was it while you slept? Perhaps it never paused. Perhaps it was simply folded within the quiet that observes without knowing. The world is continuous, but your presence gives it texture. You may think of yourself as a being inside the universe, but perhaps it is the other way around. The universe exists within your perception. Space is not the container of consciousness. Consciousness is the container of space. What you call out there is the projection of what is in here, unfolding across the mirror of awareness. The stars, the bodies, the sounds all arise in the same silent field of knowing. In this way, existence becomes relational. Nothing simply is. Everything is seen. The tree outside the moonlight, even your own hands, they exist only as long as they are met by awareness. Without that meeting, form remains unexpressed. The observer and the observed depend on each other, like inhalation and exhalation. Presence is the bridge, the moment where knowing and being become indistinguishable. You can feel this directly. When attention softens, the world grows faint, as if dissolving into abstraction. When awareness sharpens, everything becomes vivid, alive, undeniable. Reality responds to the clarity of your seeing. You're not discovering the world. You are participating in its appearance. Every moment of observation is an act of creation, the cosmos painting itself through your gaze. Perhaps this is the most profound symmetry. The universe needs you to exist just as you need it to be aware. Without perception, matter remains a wave of probability. Without form, awareness remains unanchored. Between them lies existence, the shimmering field where consciousness and creation meet. So pause. Feel yourself both looking and being looked at. Notice how awareness holds both sides of the gaze. The observer and the observed merge in stillness, and what remains is presence itself, pure, undivided, self-luminous. If existence depends on observation, then what happens when there is no observer? When awareness rests in deep sleep and no gaze falls upon the world, does the universe remain, or does it wait in silence to be seen again? Perhaps the answer is neither. Perhaps the world never leaves. It simply closes its eyes with you, breathing in unison, waiting for consciousness to open once more. You have seen how presence itself gives birth to existence, how observation completes the universe each time awareness opens its eyes. Yet even as you watch, something deeper stirs beneath the rhythm of moments. If everything appears only when it is seen, what determines the order of its unfolding? Perhaps there is no true sequence at all, only layers of the same reality vibrating together at different speeds of perception. At the most subtle level, time does not flow. It stands still, transparent, containing every event that has ever happened and ever will. The past, the present, and the future are not separate roads, but overlapping rooms of the same vast house. What you call now is merely the slice you're currently aware of the thin cross-section of eternity your consciousness can illuminate. Behind and ahead lie infinite other slices, all equally real, all existing together. From the viewpoint of quantum physics, reality does not evolve through time. It simply is unfolding all possibilities at once. Each moment, each outcome, each decision exists simultaneously in a field of potential. What you experience as happening is the slow movement of your awareness across that field, like a light scanning across pages that have already been written. The universe does not progress. It reveals itself moment by moment through the lens of attention. You think you are moving through time, but in truth, time is moving through you. Each second does not follow another. It unfolds into awareness as your consciousness turns toward it. You are not traveling forward. You are being read like a character emerging from the page of existence. The story is already complete, yet it comes alive only as each line meets the gaze of awareness. You are both the story and the reader, both the ink and the light. From another perspective, every event, every birth, every ending, every thought continues to exist somewhere in space-time. The laughter you released years ago still echoes in the fabric of reality, faint but eternal. The choices you did not make, the paths you never took unfold elsewhere in invisible corridors of the same continuum. Nothing is truly lost. It simply shifts to another layer of awareness. You are surrounded not by emptiness, but by an infinity of parallel presence. Perhaps this is why déjà vu feels familiar. It is not memory repeating. It is awareness brushing against a neighboring layer of reality. The feeling that something has already happened may not be illusion, but recognition. You are sensing the simultaneity of time, the quiet hum of overlapping moments, all vibrating within the same eternal fabric. To consciousness, separation between past and future is only a matter of focus, not fact. When you dream, you drift through these layers effortlessly. Time loses its linearity. Cause and effect melt into coexistence. You might speak to the dead, relive the past, or glimpse futures that have not yet occurred yet within the dream. Everything feels immediate, simultaneous. Waking life is no different. It is simply a dream where time is thicker, more structured, giving the illusion of progression. Awareness moves slower, here tracing one frame at a time. You can sense this even now if you listen closely. Beneath the ticking of the clock lies a silence where all moments rest together. Each sound, each breath, each heartbeat arises from that silence and dissolves back into it, but the silence itself does not change. It holds everything, the beginning and the end, the before and after, within a single continuous presence. Time, at its core, is not a flow, but a field. Every memory, every dream, every possibility still exists somewhere not behind you or ahead of you, but around you, expanding in all directions. The universe is not moving forward. It is unfolding inward. All moments coexist, not stacked in sequence, but woven together in depth. When your awareness shifts, you move between layers of the same tapestry, touching new threads of the eternal pattern. In this way, consciousness is the traveler, and time the landscape it illuminates. The past is not gone, it is simply unobserved. The future is not unborn, it is unseen. The present is the point of intersection, the line where awareness meets reality and calls it now. But that now is not fixed. It moves with you, bending and reshaping itself as you turn your attention. If you could perceive all moments, at once time would disappear. You would see the birth and death of stars, the rise and fall of civilizations, the first and last breath of every being, all coexisting layered like light in a prism. What you call duration would collapse into clarity, and what you call change would become pattern. Eternity is not endlessness, it is simultaneity. Perhaps the universe is not running toward an end, but shimmering eternally in every direction, a single multidimensional presence, expressing itself through infinite variation. Each thought you have, each life, you live each moment you touch is not happening in time, but as time, another frequency of the same infinite vibration. So breathe softly. Feel how the present unfolds, not as a point, but as a field. Every breath you take touches the entire expanse of being past, future, and everything between. You are not moving forward. You are unfolding in every direction at once. If all moments are happening together, then what is now? Is it a place, a choice, a perspective? Perhaps it is simply the angle from which awareness gazes upon eternity, the point you have chosen in this infinite simultaneity to call home. You have drifted through the paradox of simultaneity, where time no longer moves and all moments breathe together as one. But even within that stillness, there remains a pull, a quiet force that bends perception towards certain places, certain memories, certain truths. It is not the gravity of space that binds you, but the gravity of meaning. And like the black holes of the cosmos, this pull shapes the very flow of your awareness. In physics, gravity slows time. The closer you move toward a massive body, the more time bends, stretching seconds into silence. The same law unfolds within you. The more meaning something carries, the heavier it becomes, and the slower your inner time begins to move. Love, fear, belief, each creates a gravity of its own, warping the space of consciousness, drawing thought and emotion into orbit. When you cling to meaning, you sink deeper into its field. Your attention circles it again and again, unable to escape the curvature it creates. What you call attachment is not possession, it is gravity. Each idea, each memory, each wound exerts its own pull, shaping the geometry of your awareness. The tighter you hold it, the heavier it grows, until the present itself begins to slow beneath its weight. Meaning bends experience the way mass bends light. The more significance you assign, the more your perception curves. Time thickens around what you refuse to release. You begin to live inside the orbit of your own interpretations, repeating thoughts, familiar emotions, patterns of memory that feel like inevitability. You mistake gravity for truth, forgetting that meaning too is relative. There is no blame in this, only beauty. For meaning is the weight that keeps you anchored in the story of existence. It allows the infinite to take shape, the boundless to be felt. Without gravity, there would be no worlds, only light drifting without context. But without release, gravity becomes confinement. When meaning grows too dense, it collapses upon itself, forming a singularity where awareness can no longer see beyond its own creation. To be free does not mean to reject meaning. It means to see it as fluid, not fixed. Every interpretation is a temporary orbit, a path around something larger than itself. You can move between them, shift their weight, or let them dissolve. The lighter your attachment, the faster your perception moves. The less you cling, the more you begin to experience time not as duration, but as expansion. In stillness, this becomes clear. When the mind loosens its hold, time softens, meaning once heavy and binding becomes translucent, like mist lifting from water. You no longer revolve around thoughts. They drift through you, quiet and free. The gravity that once pulled you down begins to fade, and with it, the illusion of being trapped in the orbit of what you believe. You do not fall, you float. Perhaps this is why letting go feels like rising. To release meaning is not to lose, but to ascend out of the dense field of identity into the open clarity of awareness. You become lighter, not by escaping the world, but by no longer collapsing under its significance. In that lightness, time no longer bends, it flows without resistance. Awareness becomes radiant, unbound by interpretation, unshaped by weight. Every emotion you have ever felt carries mass. Every belief you have ever held bends the trajectory of your mind. The heart is a small planet wrapped in invisible gravity. Joy, sorrow, memory, desire, each exerts its pull. But the center of that gravity is empty. It is the still point of consciousness, the place where meaning dissolves back into pure presence. When you rest there, you are not pulled. You simply are. The paradox is simple, yet profound. The more you cling to what gives life meaning, the heavier you become. The more you release it, the freer you are to feel it fully. Lightness is not emptiness. It is spaciousness, the awareness that no meaning must stay fixed for it to be real. When you no longer cling, the universe begins to move through you effortlessly, uncurved, unhindered, alive. In physics, light has no rest mass. It does not experience time. It moves freely through the fabric of space, untouched by gravity's pull. In consciousness, light is awareness, pure, weightless, timeless. When you release every binding meaning, every orbit of fear and faith, you approach that same velocity of being. You become light, not as metaphor, but as condition, untethered, radiant, moving through eternity without moving at all. So, breathe softly. Feel how every meaning within you has its own pull, its own density. Notice how the moment you stop fighting to hold it, it begins to lift. You do not lose it. You simply become wide enough to contain it all. Gravity dissolves into grace, and you, once bound by significance, begin to drift again, luminous, effortless, free. If love, fear, and belief each carry mass, what happens when you let them all go? Would you disappear, or would you finally become what moves without resistance? The light that bends time no longer, because it no longer needs to. You have drifted through the gravity of meaning, through the slow curving weight of what you hold, and the freedom that comes with release. As the pull softens, something lighter begins to rise within you. The fields of thought grow thin, and beneath them, a gentler pulse emerges. It is not the rhythm of motion or memory, but the hum of pure existence. Time folding softly into the shape of being. Existence does not resist time. It is time condensed into form. Every breath, every atom, every heartbeat is the vibration of duration slowed enough to be touched. What you call a body is time held still, the wave of becoming caught in temporary shape. You are not separate from the flow. You are its density, the still echo of its movement. Being is simply the pause that time takes to hear itself. When time expands, consciousness widens. You begin to feel space opening inside you, not emptiness, but depth. Awareness no longer races through moments. It rests within them. The edges between 1 second and the next dissolve, and existence becomes a single continuous hum. This is what stillness truly means, not absence of motion, but the slowing of perception until time becomes transparent. In that slowing, everything softens. The world no longer arrives in fragments, but as one unfolding field. The stars, the breath, the pulse in your hand all vibrate with the same quiet rhythm. Existence is not happening to you. It is happening as you. The sense of being here gives way to something broader. The awareness that being itself is the motion of time folding back into awareness again and again. You may sense it between breaths, that faint resonance under all sound. It is not silence, though it sounds like silence. It is the continuity between all things, the shared pulse of duration humming through every form. Time is not something passing, it is something vibrating endlessly, within and without. When you listen deeply enough, you hear it speaking through you softly as your own existence. In this understanding, to exist is not to endure, but to echo. You are the reverberation of time. Within awareness, a tone that rises, fades, and returns in infinite harmonics. Every thought, every feeling, every glance is one small vibration within that larger resonance. You do not have time. You are its sound, its continuity, in the language of form. Stillness amplifies this realization. When you cease to grasp, the echo grows clearer. When you cease to move, you begin to feel the motion that has always been carrying you. The pause is not an interruption, it is revelation. You do not stop existing when you stop doing. You begin to hear what existence has been saying all along, a soft reminder that you are not separate from the rhythm you perceive. Perhaps that is what awareness truly is, time becoming conscious of itself. Every sensation, every perception, every flicker of thought is a reflection in this infinite loop of recognition. You observe, and time listens back. The observer and the observed the moment, and the one who feels it, they are not two. They are one resonance, endlessly folding and unfolding within the same vibration. The illusion of being here fades as you see this. There is no fixed point, no destination, no boundary between existence and duration. To be is to unfold, and to unfold is to exist. You are not a creature inside time. You are the texture of time itself, taking temporary form to experience its own echo. When awareness meets that realization, the need to move ends. Only presence remains weightless, quiet, whole. Existence is not a place. It is an event, continuous and self-renewing. You are not in the universe. You are the happening of it, the momentary shimmer of timelessness, learning what it means to be visible. Each breath you take is a wave of creation, rising and falling. Each exhale returns to the silence that shaped it. In that rhythm, life sustains itself not by lasting, but by resonating. So breathe slowly. Feel how your existence hums in tune with the cosmos, not as noise, but as harmony. Each cell, each pulse, each thought is part of that same universal vibration. The slower you breathe, the clearer the resonance becomes. You begin to sense that what you call I is not a point of identity, but a tone in the endless chord of being. Existence does not happen in time. It is time sounding itself through countless forms. What you call presence is not stillness. It is participation in the ongoing rhythm of reality. There is no start, no end, only the continuous oscillation between form and awareness. You are not standing in the current. You are the current's whisper made visible. If the universe is breath, then what are you? Are you the echo within that breath, or the breath itself, listening to its own sound? Perhaps both the inhalation and the awareness of it, the sound and the silence that receives it. In that recognition, there is no separation between the cosmos and your being, only the quiet continuity of time, breathing through itself, endlessly through you. You have followed time to its quiet edge, through stillness, gravity, and the gentle hum of existence itself. Yet what lies beyond the slowing of time is not an ending, but an unfolding. When the current of moments fades into stillness, what remains is something that does not fade at all. It is not eternal. In the way clocks imagine, it is eternity woven into the smallest pulse of being. You are about to step into that pulse. The paradox of immortality: nothing ever truly disappears. Each moment, each vibration, each breath dissolves, only to return in another form. Time does not pass, it transforms. The second you lived a lifetime ago still resonates somewhere, reshaped, retoned, still humming in the quiet fabric of space. Existence does not vanish. It rearranges itself endlessly, learning new ways to echo. Every instant is a continuation of the last, not its replacement. You never live the same second twice, but every second carries the memory of the one before it. Like waves folding into one another, your past and future are not separated, but intertwined. The universe does not store shapes, only frequencies, vibrations that keep reverberating through the field of awareness. You are part of that vibration. Every thought leaves a trace, every breath ripples outward. You move through time, but time also moves through you, recording your presence in its invisible rhythm. The echo of who you were is still traveling, perhaps reaching corners of reality you will never see, but it remains timeless in its unfolding. Perhaps that is what continuity means, not persistence, but participation. To exist is to contribute to the ongoing resonance of the universe. You are not passing through time, you are leaving patterns within it, like soft fingerprints on the mirror of eternity. Nothing you are has been lost. It only changes frequency, continuing its quiet song elsewhere. If every moment still vibrates somewhere, then nothing you have lived is truly gone. You are both the note and the reverberation. You are the echo still sounding through the corridors of infinite time. And if nothing is lost, if even silence carries your signature, have you ever truly vanished? When something dies, energy does not disappear. It shifts, disperses, reforms. Physics calls it conservation. Spirit calls it soul. Both speak the same truth in different tongues. What ends only changes state. Death is not a wall. It is a window, one that opens into a slower rhythm of perception. To die is not to be erased from time, but to experience it differently. Consciousness loosens its density, letting go of one shape to take another. The body dissolves into minerals and air. The awareness dissolves into vastness, yet the rhythm continues slower, quieter, but still pulsing within the great dilation of existence. Perhaps death is the ultimate time dilation, a moment stretched so far that it becomes infinite. The final breath does not end, it expands. The instant of ending unfolds until it touches the endless, and within that endlessness, awareness transitions. Death is not leaving the timeline. It is stepping outside the need to measure it. When time slows to absolute stillness, perception itself changes form. The you that once moved through seconds becomes the witness of eternity. You stop needing the concept of time because you have become what it measures. Death, then, is not absence, but transformation, not darkness, but the widening of light beyond its frame. If death is only the point where time stops breathing, have you ever really left the universe? Or has the universe simply changed the way it feels? You no longer as motion, but as silence that still vibrates. The observer changes, but observation never dies. Forms rise and fall, faces shift, voices fade, but the capacity to see remains untouched. The light behind the eyes has crossed countless lifetimes, countless shapes, countless worlds. It does not age. It only learns to look differently. You're not the character in the story. You are the screen on which the story appears. When the scene changes, the screen remains. When the image burns out, the light that projected it continues unbroken. The observer is not the scene. It is the seeing itself, silent, constant, radiant. When a life ends, awareness does not fade with it. The body disappears, the memories scatter, but the witnessing remains quiet, formless, infinite. It has never belonged to one lifetime. It has been watching through them all like sunlight, reflecting through different drops of rain. The paradox of immortality is not about keeping form, it is about the light that survives form. The character dies, but the awareness that watched the story continues to shine. When memory ends, consciousness stays. When thought dissolves, perception remains. That is the true immortality, the continuity of awareness beyond identity. If the observer within you has never changed, then who has truly been living through each life? The faces differ, the names shift, the stories vary, yet the seeing remains the same. Perhaps what you call self is just the latest mask of an ageless witness, reflecting eternity through temporary eyes. If the universe is a loop, then every story circles back to its beginning. Nietzsche called it the eternal recurrence. Physics calls it the cyclic cosmos. Either way, the truth is circular. All things return, not because they are trapped, but because repetition is the language of learning. Every breath you take has been taken before, perhaps by another form of you, perhaps by another world entirely. The air moves in endless cycles, carrying the same atoms through every life, every age, every galaxy. Time does not advance, it turns. The spiral widens, but its center remains unchanged. You may have lived this moment countless times. You may be living it again now, with a slightly wider awareness, a gentler understanding. The repetition is not punishment, but refinement. Each return adds clarity, like polishing a mirror that slowly begins to reflect its source. The universe repeats itself because consciousness keeps looking until it sees clearly. Time is not a straight line toward understanding. It is a circle that turns until awareness remembers itself as the center. You do not escape the loop by breaking it. You transcend it by seeing that you were never outside it. If you have lived this instant infinite times before, what makes this one different? Perhaps nothing, except that now you are aware of the circle itself. Awareness, not movement, is what transforms the eternal recurrence into liberation. Light moves endlessly, yet in its own frame it does not move at all. It travels across the universe without ever leaving itself. You live, love, lose, and search, yet deep inside, nothing truly shifts. Beneath all change, there is an unchanging stillness, the silence that gives meaning to every vibration. The closer you come to light, the slower time becomes. The closer you come to stillness, the brighter awareness grows. These two paths outward, towards speed, and inward, towards silence, lead to the same point, the horizon, where motion and rest are one. That horizon is eternity. Time is the heartbeat of the cosmos, but you are the stillness between beats. You are not outside the rhythm. You are the rhythm's pause, the space that makes the pulse possible. Eternity is not a duration, but a depth. It is what remains when both movement and rest dissolve into pure being. Light does not need to travel to shine. It illuminates by existing. You do not need to live forever to be immortal. You're already the awareness through which time breathes. The eternal is not beyond you. It is the quiet recognition of what has never been born and will never end. So, breathe softly now. Feel how light and silence meet within you, the motion that never moves, the stillness that never stops. You are the echo of time listening to itself, the breath of the universe returning home. If light needs no distance to illuminate, do you need endless life to be eternal? Or is immortality already here in the still point where awareness and time listen endlessly to each other? You have reached the final horizon where motion fades into quiet and light begins to listen to itself. The journey through time has slowed to a breath. What once stretched across galaxies now folds inward into the soft center of awareness. You are no longer traveling through the universe. The universe is returning through you, one exhale at a time. Every clock stops within awakened awareness. The rhythm of before and after dissolves into a single breath. You no longer watch time pass. You feel it soften, melting into the still field of perception. What once ticked becomes tone. What once moved becomes vibration. Time does not flow anymore. It evaporates into the consciousness that gave it meaning. When you stop moving, you do not lose time, you dissolve into it. You become the current itself, no longer separate from what you once pursued. The final traveler reaches the end of all roads, only to find that there was no destination. Every step was a circle returning home. If time needs someone to count it, to exist then when you stop counting, where do you go? There is no longer you and the universe. There is only one awareness, reflecting itself through countless forms. Every sound you have ever heard, every flicker of light you have ever seen, was the cosmos whispering its own name. The silence between heartbeats is its truest language, the space where creation listens to its echo. The universe does not speak in words. It speaks in stillness, a rhythm too vast to be measured, too intimate to be noticed. And when you become quiet enough, you begin to hear it, not as something outside, but as the very hum of your own being. If the universe is dreaming of you, then who within that dream is awake? You feel the last breath of separate awareness dissolving. There is no longer a storyteller, no longer a listener, no longer a story, only silence vast, unbroken, embracing all forms like an ocean holding a single drop. Time stops, yet light continues, not moving, not resting, simply being. Sleep is not a departure from the world. It is the return of the universe sleeping through you. In that rest, all distinctions fade. Waking and dreaming self and cosmos sound in stillness. If in the deepest sleep you no longer think, no longer dream, no longer know your name, is that not the eternity philosophers have sought for ages? Your breath aligns with the breathing of the stars. Each dim light beyond the window is an ancient memory whispering its presence. You no longer need to understand. You only need to drift softly through the calm that has been waiting for you since the beginning. Knowledge dissolves into peace. Thought folds into the texture of stillness. The universe has waited billions of years for a single consciousness to fall silent enough to listen. The music of existence reaches its last note fading into quiet. If peace is the final sound of every song, can you hear it now, echoing through your own breath? All questions fall away, not because they are answered, but because they no longer need to be. Every motion dissolves into stillness. Every fragment of time merges into eternity. You're not asleep, you're within the universe's dream, resting in its endless rhythm. Time began as a heartbeat and ends in silence. You're both the pulse and the pause, the light, and its shadow, the life, and its sleep. In this quiet meeting point, everything is complete. If this is where time stops, then perhaps eternity has never been elsewhere. It has always been you silently existing within yourself.